Good evening, everybody. We're welcome to our pre-call tonight, and we invited Christine Cropper to share with us some things that she's been doing with her team after each training session. And Christine Cropper is a senior coordinator here in the Chicago area. Hi, Christine.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me on, Barb. I'm excited to share.
This is great. Yeah. So tell us a bit about what you've been doing with your team after each of the training sessions.
Yeah, so it's so exciting to have such great content and material that we have here on these trainings. And so I've just been gathering my team once a week, and we've been discussing all the material and just really looking at how we can apply it in our lives and really implement it, put it into action. And so it's been fun to take all the learning and just digest it and see how that goes for us and our businesses.
And then work with it a bit rather
Right.
than just hearing it once. Good. Okay. Well, tell us. One of your new distributors is Nancy.
Yes,
so
Nancy.
Tell us it because she just started in January. And by the way, when we talk about aiming for new people to aim for 500 to 1,000 their first month. We understand that sometimes people have been using Shaklee products for a while before they decide that they're ready to grow a business. And so from the time they decide that they're ready to grow their business, that's when we want to have a plan in place for 500 the first month or 1,000. So that's what you have been doing with Nancy, right? Christine, go ahead.
Yes, it's really exciting. Nancy's been a distributor on my team for about a year, but she's actually just starting to decide that she wants to really grow her business. So it's exciting when someone makes that decision. And so we got together and we made a plan. We planned for at least 500 last month, and she did great with that. She surpassed it. And then this month we're making a plan to grow at least 1,000 PV.
Great.
And so her and I, we worked together to schedule that grand opening on Facebook. And then also her grand opening will be in person in April. And then we did that inviting planning session that we talked about last week that you all taught about. So we sat down on Monday for an hour and a half and did our inviting planning session. We got to practice how she's going to share her story, which is another thing we learned last week, and really taking that list and looking at the people and how we want to invite to the different events that we're doing. And so we set up her grand opening online. We're making the invitations for the immunity event that's this coming Monday. It's going to run all week, that some of our leaders are going to be running. It's a crucial time for teaching on immunity right now. And then a lot of individual appointments and three-way calls, depending on the need. And sometimes they flow into each other. They see an event and then they want to do a three-way call or have a one-on-one appointment. So
excellent. And attaching PV to that is really smart because we know with three-way calls when you're on a nutrition topic, when you're helping somebody decide how to start on the supplements, that pretty often is about 100 PV because they're getting so much individual attention for themselves and possibly other family members. So if you're planning to do 1,000 PV, imagine if you set up 10 three-way calls. You'd be getting close. So it's always a combination there. And then tell us more about about asking permission before you're sending the invitation.
Yeah, so my whole team, we're focusing on really applying all those concepts, like the asking permission. We're going through how we're going to set up our wording, using a lot of the word tracks that we got last week, and just making it personal to each individual, what would work best, why we thought of them, why we'd love to have them there, how it would benefit them. So it's a great time to be applying all of those great inviting techniques that we learned about.
Very good. So then there was one of your other leaders, Jana. Tell us about the plan for her.
So Jana is a director. She just recently had her third child, a newborn. She's about a month now. And so she's getting excited. She's a full-time teacher. She's home for 12 weeks with her baby. And she's excited to be getting into action and really building 1,000 new PV this month. And so her and I, after doing our group chat about our trainings, we're making a plan to really generate 1,000 new PV. And so
Mm.
she's focusing because she's trying to get back to feeling normal again after having a baby. She's really focusing on social media, her story, her journey, inviting people to the Prove It Challenge. She does a lot of great one-on-ones. We're doing a lot of three-way calls, and then promoting also the special offer from Shackley to all of our customers, and reaching out to the new people too with the awesome green special for new people.
Excellent. So we know that every month there appears to be some special promotion for the customers. And so Jana finds out what it is, takes a look at it on that first day of the month, and then figures out how she's going to promote it that month. Excellent.
Yeah. She and I really want to do an in-home event together, but with the baby being so young, she said we'll hopefully do that next month. So we're really focusing on a lot of those online and like online sharing, and then the one-on-one calls, and if we want to meet up as well. So we're trying to really focus on that, since this month it's a little rough, but then next month we're going to do a event where we can get people to come as well. So, and we're also doing postnatal depletion event, because she has so many people reaching out about how she's feeling back to normal after having a baby. So it's cool to kind of center it around what the person's journey is.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. Okay, well, thanks. And in addition, we've also invited Liz Sepich. And Liz is a brand new director. December, I think, right? Are you unmuted? Did we
unmute?
There she is. Okay.
Yes, December.
There she is in December. And so what I love it, we happened to be having a chat this week, and she shared something that happened when she began using live conversation instead of just relying on texting and messaging. You can imagine how I jumped all over that. So I asked her to share what happened around that, because it was really, really quite powerful. So go ahead, Liz, tell us about example number one. Who is that?
Yeah, so it was a girl that I went to college with, so I haven't talked to her in 10 years. And I was messaging her about, asking if she wanted some samples of some things because of some of her comments on my posts. So we were just Facebook messaging and figured out some samples to send her. And so all through Facebook messaging, she says, yep, I will try a box of Vitalizer. And I said, well, how about, let's try to get you to the 150 mark to try, because we were doing a special for a free product. Our team was doing a special for free product and free membership if she got to $150. So she said, okay, let's just do 2 Vitalizers. So this was all via Facebook message. And then I said, okay, great. I'm going to call you for your credit card information. And then when I got her,
I'm going to call you. Okay. I love that part. Okay.
And I normally would have been super scared to do that, and just easier to just say, text me the information, email me, whatever. But I decided to get her on the phone, probably because I was listening to you guys' trainings and all the things about trying to get people on real conversations. And I said, maybe you'd be interested in the Prove It Challenge. Oh, I forgot to mention that she said no to the Prove It Challenge prior to this. So I got her on the phone, and I just told her it really wasn't as hard as she was thinking it was going to be. And there was a lot of support via Facebook and recipes, and just that it wouldn't be as hard and she would feel awesome after doing it. And she said, okay, fine, you convinced me. And she ended up getting the Prove It Challenge.
Right. So you had suggested it via messaging or texting.
Yeah.
And see, people don't. Oh, I love this. Okay. So do we have another example? Oh, you know what I wanted to do? Well, you can tell the other example, but really what I love is I realized the benefits of direct telephone conversation. So maybe tell your next example, and then we'll go through some of those benefits.
Okay. So the second person is a friend, and she just orders Incredivites like every other month. I just add it to my order, drop it off at her house. I see her regularly. So that's kind of the customer she is. And she texted me and said, I'd like to try some Incredivites and vitamin D this month. And I said, okay, are you ready to try the women's vitamin? Because she was on a different prenatal. And I knew that she was running out of it. And I said, are you ready to try that? She said, yeah. So I added it up and it was $81. And I said, okay, just, might as well call her as well and just see if I can get her up to the 150 mark. So she doubled her order by me calling her and just saying, hey, would you like to try something for your husband? Or would you like to buy 2 vitamin Ds? Or you want to try some skincare? So we ended up getting to the $150 mark. And if I didn't call her, she would have just left it at the $81 and that would have been it. So
it's so great. And so if you think about it, what are the benefits of speaking directly to customers? And one is, did you hear what happened is Liz became an advocate for the customers, and the customers saw that. Hey, do you realize if you just put in a couple more items, we can get you free shipping? Or, hey, if you put in a couple, there's another deal here. I think you might, because frankly, the Prove It Challenge is a very good deal for customers because it's underwritten by the company, right? And so when you're advocating for someone, you're looking out for them. You're showing, where the deals are. Where the free shipping kicks in. You're watching out for them. That's a great message. And then the other thing is when you offer them a deal, if you buy this, you'll get that. That was just something that they did within their group. If someone bought $150 order at the very end of the month, they were looking to generate more volume. They offered a free Defend and Resist, which is, I don't know what that costs.
Like $15.
Yeah, $15. So that was for a $150 order. That was a good deal. And then it gives you an opportunity to teach them to talk about some products they haven't used before and kind of educate them about it. And every time you talk to them, you're building relationships. So that was lovely. Oh, you guys are great. Thank you, Christine. And thank you, Liz. That was excellent. So, Jeannie, they were pretty good, right?
I think their stories are wonderful. I've learned a lot from them. I'm not going to let one customer go by without trying to upsell them. I think that's great. And I also think it's great that you're a new director and you're doing that. There must be a lot of heart and belief in what you're doing, Liz, which I think is great. And Christine, I just love what you're doing. I mean, there are some people who have a baby and they can't do Shackley, and your positive attitude that we're going to get to 1,000 and next month we're going to do this. That's leadership. So congratulations on that. I think it's great. And obviously you don't need the next topic we're going to talk about because your self-talk, both Liz and Christine's, is excellent. Right, Barb?
Exactly. They were very good. So Jeannie, let's review a little bit where we've come from the last 2 weeks. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And the reason we do the review, and we just got off another call, is that there is a lot going on in Shackley, and it's all good. We have the 20,000 and 20K. We have the trip to Mexico. We have Australia. Now we have Team Up, right? But it's really important to stay focused on the fundamentals. And that's what I heard in Christine and Liz tonight. They're staying focused on the fundamentals. And what are they? Stay focused on your why. Try to work on that, see what it is so you know why you're developing a Shackley business and why it will mean something for others. And when Christine and Liz spoke, you can't upsell someone or encourage someone to do 1,000 PV more unless you understand why you're doing it and you understand why they're doing it. So kudos to both of you for that. Also, the second fundamental is making a list. Who are we going to share these products with? Who are we going to share this business opportunity with? The third fundamental of this business is learning, as Barbara says, this is her word, because I don't know if I'm gentle, but there is a gentle art of inviting, okay, of creating connections. And that's the key, creating that connection so that when Liz does call her customer and ask her, would you like to increase her order by this? Or would you like to try the skincare? That comes because she's built a connection with that customer. Mm-hmm. She's built that trust. She's built that relationship. And then the last part of what we've learned in these last few weeks is scheduling the events. Most important, getting into action and developing that first 1,000 PV. And I really wanted Barb to share why we put, or why she decided, to be honest, she's the driver, why we were going to put this session here. Because it would be a lot easier to go into follow-up and customers and presentations. But no, master coordinator Barb Lagoni had another idea. And I think it's really important to understand the thinking.
It was a group. It was a group.
Right?
Well, but here's why. But good
Go
point.
ahead.
It's a very good point, Jeannie. Is that in training, we typically teach people what to do first and second, or the what to do. We gave you the checklist, right? And then we teach communication skills, how to do that to be more effective and connect with people. But years ago, we realized when we were doing trainings that sometimes people still didn't advance. And then we started learning about the power of our thinking and how it affects our actions and our belief that we even have the ability to bring our goals into reality. And so that's why we're pausing right now in week 3 to really understand the power of goal setting and monitoring our self-talk and understand how powerfully our thinking and our self-concept influences our success. So that's the plan for this week. And we also want to remind you that this, all of us who spend, and I just want to acknowledge our speakers, Francine tonight, Roling, Senior Coordinator, and Angie Thomas, Senior Director, soon to be Senior Coordinator. Jeannie and I, we spend really many hours every week in preparation for each of these sessions. And we want you to know that it's because we are completely dedicated to helping every business partner who joins us at whatever rank you are to advance in rank this year, because there is such a major promotion set before us, starting with director. And so that is that's our intention at the end of the 8 weeks and the vision that we're putting out in front of you. And we've asked Francine to begin tonight. Francine Roling with a master's degree in school psychology. You'll see how handy that's going to come in for tonight's discussion. Okay, go ahead, Francine.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Well, what's kind of ironic is about the master's degree in school psychology is the bulk of that coursework is about theory and practical application in our thinking and behavior. And, you know, it's like anything else in life. It's easy to learn about something and identify it in other people, but when it comes to ourselves, sometimes it's not so easy. So I've been with Shackley for about 20 years and really went through a crazy different things in my life. So about 5 years ago, I decided I was ready to give this business my all. And so things went really well in 2015, and I became a director at a really crazy busy season of my life. But then around 2017, I kind of got stuck again, and I didn't know what was going on. And when I started to look at what I had in my life, I couldn't blame anybody but myself. I had an amazing upline. Barb Lagoni is my master coordinator. Becky Choate is my upline. I have an awesome team. We've always had great coaching. We know the amazingness of the Shackley products, so we don't have to worry about anything there. So it was me. I had to really spend a lot of time engaging in personal development. And really, all I did in 2017 was read and take different courses and listen to podcasts. And that stuff really started to click. And as soon as I started applying those things, not only learning about them, but applying them, getting into action with what I was learning and changing my thoughts, that's when my business took off. That's when we started having people join our team who were also serious about their businesses. That's when we jumped 2 ranks in 1 year. And it was the only thing that changed. It was me. It was my thoughts. So that's why the objectives for this week are so important. And we wanted to make sure we gave them adequate time and attention, because these are things that can really, really help you grow your business. It's about doing things. So we need to have a roadmap. That's where goal setting is so important. So we want to understand what goal setting can actually do for us and do for our business. Instead of being all willy-nilly all over the place, just kind of doing things as they come to you, goal setting helps you to be in control of your life and your business. It also activates a part of our brain where we have natural reserves of energy and drive. And this business, I understand, I've been there, I still get there sometimes. I know it's really easy to compare yourself to other people. And on surface, it looks like you're doing everything they're doing, but how come they're, advancing in rank or having other people join their team or on a dream trip or whatever the case may be? But I'm so glad we're talking about this tonight, because we all have equal opportunity in this division. If you have a brain, you can do this. And then we're going to talk about the importance of self-talk. We talk to ourselves all the time, and we're going to talk about how much of that talk we're not even aware of, but that can still sabotage us. It can also be a source of great strength for us. We're going to talk more about that, as well as how our creative subconscious helps us achieve our goals, not only when we're awake, but even when we're sleeping. So more to come on that as well.
I love getting to work with Francine, because when you're talking about how over the last 5 years you've grown and you did all that self-work, I watched you on that journey. And I think it's just been, that's one of the fun parts about this business, is that we watch each other go through these experiences and achieve our dreams. And Francine just keeps carrying me along with her, and I appreciate that too. So, okay. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is dreaming. I think when we're kids or even in college, we think about, I remember having a very clear picture in college of what I wanted my life to look like. And then as we become adults, I don't know if it's like when we have kids or when we start having to pay taxes and bills and all the boring adult stuff, that our dreams start to kind of fade away from us. But what we get to do as business owners and with Shackley, because we create our own life here, is that we finally get to dream again. But this can be really hard for people because we stopped dreaming, but also because, so let's talk about some of the things that people might have on their dream boards or things that we can think about. But really, don't let this list, don't be confined to this list. Anything is possible. I remember Harper saying that one of her first goals for her family was that everyone would go to a chiropractor. So it can be something like that. It can be something like college funds, creating college funds for your family, which is a huge challenge now and a great gift to give your kids. Luxury travel might be one of your goals for your family, to be able to take them on trips. Having a dream home or a second home, which is a great thing. But sometimes we also, and this happens to me, is when we start thinking about second homes or financial freedom or having a nicer car or something like that. I start to think, my minivan that's really beat up is totally fine. It gets me from here to there, and I don't need anything fancy. I would like seat heaters, but I don't need them. Or I think, my house is fine. There's people that don't have, I really do have a great life, and I have a great house, and I have a car that moves. And so why do I start to feel a little guilty, or maybe that I'm not grateful enough when I start creating these dreams? And you might be thinking that too, but I want you to suspend that for a moment and feel free and released from any guilt, and just write it all down, or plan a dream board session and just put whatever you want on there, because this is just for you, right? So it's okay. And then once we have our dreams, we can set our specific goals to get us to our dreams. So in real life right now, take out whatever you're writing with, your notepad. I'd like everyone to do a little bit of homework. And I don't care if you started your business yesterday or 40 years ago. So Barb and Jeannie, you have to do this too. Write down, get your pens, write down what your goals are, your rank, when you want to achieve that rank, what income. Maybe there's an incentive. The 20 in 2020, put down which level of income you want to receive in that. What kind of organization do you want? Do you want a 10,000 PV organization? Do you want a 200,000 OV organization? Where is that going to be? And then you don't have to do this part now, but then after you create those goals, then you back up and you create the action steps to reach those goals. So it all comes back down for the same thing. If you want to be master coordinator or senior director, you still have to think about How many phone calls am I going to be making? How many events am I going to have this month? How many new members do I need? How many new distributors do I need? How many people should I be talking to? How much PV per week am I going to be looking at?
Excellent.
So when we look at our goals, you've probably seen this before, that they need to be, they call it SMART. So specific, that's why, do a senior director, that's a specific, with a 3,000 OV organization.
Good.
Measurable, attainable. I'm a senior director. I'm not going to become master coordinator by July. That would not be an attainable goal, but it's very possible I could become senior coordinator by July. So that's a more attainable and still a good reach too. And when you're making these dream boards and these goals and these actions, becoming very visual can be helpful. This is an example of someone who created her organization with Post-it notes and hearts because she loves her team, and stars because they're superstars. Or you could use a chalkboard or a whiteboard or even just, a big, huge piece of paper and just draw out what your organization is going to look like. And the legs, visualizing those legs is really helpful.
Now we're going to tell you why these rules about the goals and why they need to be visible. That's what I was trying to say when I clicked the wrong arrow. Right. And you know what else, since we paused, since I interrupted your flow anyway, is, Angie, when you were talking about dreaming, that was a really hard time for me. I've really had trouble with that. Rick Seymour used to have a course called Great Expectations. Jeannie, I know you've taken that. And do you remember in there, there is a sheet of paper he put in front of us, and it had 50 lines on it. And he gave us 3 minutes, and he said, on your mark, get set, go. I want you to write down what you want in 3 minutes, 50 things that you want in 3 minutes. I was completely paralyzed. And what I learned is what you were just expressing, Angie, is the difference between abundance thinking and scarcity thinking. So we'll come back to that, but I just thought of it when you were sharing that. I said, oh my gosh, was that ever me? Anyway, Francine, now we're going to get into the brain chemistry, right?
Right.
Go ahead.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So this may seem like a little bit of a science lesson, but I promise you we're going to make this applicable to you. So Angie was just showing you visual examples of how you can make your goals come to life, how that's in front of you at all times. And we're going to talk about more examples of ways that you may want to do that. And the reason that is so important is because, again, we're all working with a brain. And our brains, even though we're all very unique people, they do have the same departments. The conscious part of our brain is the part that we're familiar with, right? It's the part that's aware. We know what's going on around us. We can see it with our eyes. We're, sensing it. And you would think that that's the part, since you are aware of what's going on, you would think that's the part that influences most of your behavior. But in fact, that only influences 5% of our daily behavior. 5%, you guys. So the things that we can, the conscious parts of things that we can reason and be knowledgeable about, but only 5% is being influenced by that, which means that 95% of our behavior, 95% of our decisions is coming from the subconscious part of our brain. So there's a lot of stuff in the subconscious part of our brain, and you've lived it all. It is your story, and you should own that and be proud of what's in there, because that has helped to create the person you are today. But I'm here to tell you that if you're a person in this world, I'm betting that a lot of what you've experienced in your life wasn't all positive. The experiences that have a lot of emotion around them are those that maybe caused us to be fearful of something, or made us question ourselves. I can still remember being in 6th grade, and the nurse would come into our classrooms and weigh us. And I was the tallest girl in my class, and I weighed 116 pounds. And she called out to the parent volunteer our height and weight. And so the boys in the class made fun of me because I weighed 116 pounds. Now, as an adult, the conscious part of me realizes how ridiculous that is. But that still lives in my subconscious, and I've had problems with my weight and my how I feel about my weight my whole life. And I really think it goes back to that experience, which is still living in my subconscious. We're going to talk about some of the things that I have done to help negate those things. And there are things that we can apply to our business too. And that's where our creative subconscious comes in, because that is the very special part of our subconscious that helps us to problem solve. It helps us to maintain sanity. And that's where our drive and our energy come from. So, we beat ourselves up about the results that we have a lot of times with our business. But I think just understanding that 95% of what we're working with comes from our subconscious, I think that's very freeing. And I want you guys to write that down and highlight that, because, there's a lot that's driving your bus that you may not even be familiar with. So that creative subconscious, that's Barb Lagoni's favorite part, by the way. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more. That's the problem solving part of our brain. And, Angie was showing you again, visual examples of goals. You need to make that stuff very definitive. You need to know what you're working towards, and what you're working towards, that's the problem. We give problems a negative connotation, like it's something we don't want to face, like, woe is me, I have a problem. All a problem is something that we're going to tackle and learn from, right? It's just something we haven't experienced before. Maybe we have experienced it before, but we haven't experienced it this way. So our creative subconscious operates to help us solve that problem. And that's where our energy comes from. So if you're being very clear in what your problem or your goal is, same thing, goal, problem, same thing, your brain is going to work to provide the energy, the creativity, the ability to give you the tools to be able to solve that problem. So again, we need to be very, very clear. Like Angie was saying, I want to be a strong director, create a strong director, and the creative subconscious will fix that. I remember, flashback again to 7th grade. My best friend was Sherry Martin. And I remember having a sleepover with her and her saying, okay, before we go to sleep, let's think about something we want to dream about. And lo and behold, we'd wake up in the morning and that thing that we were thinking about before we went to bed, we would have a dream about it. I mean, we were talking about the creative subconscious back in 7th grade before it was even in fashion. and the same thing can happen now. But now when I go to sleep, instead of thinking about that cute guy in my class or whether we're going to get to go skating the next day, I think about, how am I going to solve this problem? How am I going to meet somebody new today? How am I going to get in touch with that customer who I haven't been able to get in touch with? And what happens when I wake up? I have a lot of ideas about it that I didn't have that night before I went to sleep. Yeah, it's fascinating. Mm-hmm. So when we say maintain sanity, there's several bullet points here, but basically what the creative conscious is helping us do, we maintain sanity when we can behave in a way that's going to enable us to reach our goals. Now, our present self-image has a lot to do with that. And our creative subconscious is going to make sure that our actions match our present self-image. Your self-image is something you have control over, right? We can't control everything that happens to us in our lives. We can't control everything that happens to us in our businesses, but we can control how we react to it. And we have a lot of tools to help us enhance our self-image. One of those things is what you're doing right now, this professional development, this personal development piece. What we learn from instructors and books and podcasts, those things also become a part of who we are. And they don't necessarily erase what's in our subconscious, but they put it more on equal footing with our knowledge. So our emotional memories are not defining who we are. It's what we're learning today that can help us grow into a person. And we're always evolving, right? I hear people say all the time that Shaklee is the best personal growth program you never knew you needed. And that is a fact. The things that we learn about working with people and working with difficult people, working with people that we admire, all those things kind of filter over into other areas of our life too. So to do all this, to really tap into this, we need to set these goals and we need to pace them everywhere. For instance, if right now you're aiming to be a director, we know the minimum for that is 2,000. My challenge to you would be to put Post-it notes over your house, everywhere you might see them, in your purse, in the bathroom, in your underwear drawer, on your pillow. I don't care, wherever you go every day that you're going to see these notes. But instead of saying that I am a 2,000 PV director, because that gets kind of, a little too close for comfort sometimes. make that a 2,500 PV director, make that a 3,000 PV director. And you're going to see those notes. You're going to even start thinking about those things before you read it. You're going to know what it says. And then you need to be bigger. Something else our brain does with us is when we set a goal, sometimes we get pretty tired. So if we have the goal of being a 2,000 PV director and the 28th, 29th of the month is creeping up and you're at 1,800, 1,850, you're going to say, that's really close enough. I'll get it next month. But if your goal is that I am a 3,000 PV director, I am a 5,000 PV director, you're going to fly over that 2,000, 2,500, and you may reach the 3,000, you may not, but you're going to be a lot further along than you were if you set your sights and your goals at 2,000. And I know that's scary, and I know sometimes it seems surreal, but like Angie said, make sure it's an attainable goal, but also make it just a little bit bigger than you feel comfortable with. This is not a business of comfort. This is a business of growing and stretching ourselves. Something else.
This is very good. I just want to interrupt 1 second. Jeannie, just thinking as as Francine's walking through this.
Yes.
You and I have been there, right? And is there anything you want to add to some of the examples that she has given, or the people that you have worked with who've gotten stopped because their self-image had decided that they were incapable of doing something, and so they got completely stopped in their business?
Well, I think it happens all the time, actually, because in this business, we are asked to do things we haven't done in the past. And one of the conversations that I always have with people is, what value do you bring to others? And when we ask people, what value do you bring to others, they do go a little bit into their self-conscious, their belief in who they are, and it's bringing value to others. But this is what we do as leaders. We really have to talk about this, because this is what stops us from having an in-home, inviting people. Do we have something of value to them? This stops us from making that phone call. But at the same time, what I love that Francine did is, it doesn't have to stay that way when you have this awareness of what she taught tonight. That's what it is, an awareness of what she taught tonight. So I think it makes perfect sense. I wish Francine was there when I was afraid to have my first in-home.
Yeah, right, exactly right. So, keep going, Francine. This is the other fascinating part.
Oh my gosh, it is. So there's something in our brain too called the reticular activating system, or the RAS. I like that. The RAS. Sounds snazzy. Okay. So what the RAS does is, when you start feeding your brain concrete examples, specific goals that you know you're working towards, it starts to open up and help you see those opportunities everywhere. So a couple years ago, and this, I'm sorry, Angie, because this is not an attainable goal. So a couple of years ago, I started doing this thing where every time I was standing still, brushing my teeth, blow drying my hair, washing dishes, I would say to myself, I am a master coordinator. I am a master coordinator. I am a master coordinator. And I'd say it over and over and over again. And the craziest thing happened. These pictures and like this little movie started playing through my head. And at first I was just saying the words, but every time I did this exercise, I'd start to see myself in front of a group of people, and everybody was, interacting and engaged in what we were discussing, and they were having fun. And I could see people in the crowd, some who were on my team already, lots who I did not know. But this movie started going through my head, and the craziest thing happened. I started thinking of people who I wanted to invite to talk to about the business. And I started even waking up when I would go to sleep, and I'd have people's names on my mind who I needed to contact about the business. And those of you who know me, you know that those are the people I contacted. And I would even say to them, this is going to sound crazy, but I had a dream about you, or I've been thinking about you, and I feel like I was really supposed to share this with you. May I have some time to talk to you about this? And they said yes. Because I was engaged and open to that, my brain was allowing me to be creative. It was that whole creative subconscious thing. It was giving me the answers. So anyway, this is a beautiful thing. When we were doing this training the other day, Barb gave us an example talking about a red convertible. And she was talking about the RAS, and she asked Angie and I, how many red convertibles we had noticed that day. We noticed none. She said, and she asked, what if I paid you $100 for each red convertible that you saw? How many do you think you'd see? And we agreed that we'd probably see more than we had already seen. Lo and behold, we got off the training. I went to do an errand and I saw a red convertible because my mind was open to it. So
Barb,
anyway,
you owe her $100.
I owe her $100. I thought that might be where you're going with that. Okay, Angie.
Okay, I saw a blue convertible today. I'm not sure what that means, but
$50 for that one.
Okay. Okay, so we're talking about self-image and we're talking about goals and dreams. And I think I want to drive home the point about how important self-image is, because we are never going to outperform our self-image. A lot of times when we're in our business and we need to kickstart something, or they put a new promotion out or whatever, we want to get our activity in high drive, right? So, maybe our PV isn't where we wanted it to be. So we say, okay, I'm going to have an in-home. I'm going to make 10 phone calls each day. I'm going to blah, 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 blah. We can do all this activity. But if our self-image is not that great and we still think, I'm really not going to make that goal. I'm really not, meant to do this business. I really don't know what I'm talking about. We're never going to achieve results beyond our self-image. All that activity is going to be happening, but if we've got this feeling that we're not really worth it, we're not gonna achieve the results that our activity should warrant. But if we're doing all this activity and our self-image is matching that level of activity, if we are doing, Francine is doing her dishes, telling herself she's a master coordinator. She's has these very clear dreams that she is someone who leads a team of determined, driven people. And then these determined, driven people are coming into her brain. Her self-image and her activity matched up. Well, the results are going to show that. So it's in how we hold ourselves when we talk to people, our self-image. It's in how the words that come out of our mouth, the energy that we have, but it's also in our subconscious because of that the razzle dazzle that Francine was talking about earlier. So we may have heard this before, but if you think you can, or you think you can't, you're going to be right. Right? I mean, that's what all of this is all about. So if you think you can achieve your goals, you're on the right track. If you think you can't, it's not like you're going to wake up surprised one day that you hit master coordinator. Okay, so our subconscious minds have no sense of humor. They play no jokes, and they cannot tell the difference between reality and imagined thought or image. Our subconscious mind just is. What we continually think about eventually will manifest in our lives. And this is why it's important to write down affirmations. And what Francine was saying earlier, writing things, I'm a 3,000 PV senior director or director, you were saying, put it in your underwear drawer, you can dry erase. I hope I'm right about this. If I'm not, don't call me. You can put dry erase marker on your mirror in your bathroom. And so every time you go in there, you can frame put the big circle. I am a director at 3,000, you can put these all over the place, and these affirmations, and reading them every morning, and then reading them before you go to bed at night. Whatever we plant in our subconscious mind and nourish with repetition and emotion will one day become a reality. Francine, I'm so glad you shared that story about washing dishes and saying you're a master coordinator, and then affirmations all over the place. And before you go to bed, it's going to be what's planting these ideas in our subconscious mind. If we go to bed and that we think about all the things we didn't do that day, if you think about it, a lot of people go to bed and think about all the things they didn't do that day, how tired they are, and they should have gone to bed an hour earlier. They didn't get their workout in. Tomorrow's going to be awful because they have 40,000 things to do and they're not going to have enough time to do it. Then they wake up, and the first thing they think about when they wake up is, oh, I wish I could still get some sleep. Oh, I didn't wake up early enough. Oh my gosh, today is going to be terrible because I have 40,000 things to do today. What's our brain is only going to negative, bad places. So if we can go to bed thinking, I did a really good job calling these 10 people today. I'm really grateful for these 10 things. And these are my affirmations, 4, 5, 6 affirmations. Our brain is going to think about that before we go to bed. And visualize. Sometimes in my journal at night, I write my gratitudes, I write my successes, and I write down some people's names, but then I visualize what I want my business to look like. I want to create community, and I draw that. What that's, like, I don't know, I doodle about it. And what Francine was saying, you visualize what kind of team you want to have right before you go to bed. And then the little elves, they start working and planting people in your brain and your dreams.
Oh, they're elves. Oh, that's it. Okay.
They're elves now. Okay. So your mind is a powerful thing. We've been talking about that. So we want to talk about affirmations. And these are just some examples. And I just laugh every time we think about, like, the second one, I like myself. I like myself. Does anyone remember, gosh, what's his name from Saturday Night Live? And he would look in the mirror and he'd be like, and I am okay.
What's that?
We should have gotten his picture for this. I am good and people like me. It feels good to be a senior coordinator or whatever rank you're going for. And I mean, you don't have to actually already be that senior coordinator. Whatever rank you want to be, it feels good to be here. It is easy to set up 4 events a month. Write your affirmations in a way of what you want to be, not necessarily what is right now, because those are the things that you're going to plant in your mind. I like this. Okay. So I found this card, and I think a lot of times when we think about our dreams and we start thinking about, I'm going to be a senior coordinator and I'm going to get on that beach, all of a sudden there's another set of elves. They're the mean elves. They come in our brain and they start saying really terrible things to us. So I found this card, and it says, the inner monologue of smart, strong women everywhere. I'm a talentless garbage person and everyone is going to find out. I mean, seriously, right? So it's these are some of my affirmations I came up with. I run a successful 10,000 PV a month business. I create community and a sense of belonging. I mean, you guys can read these. I'm allowed to dream. I told you earlier, I had a hard time. I still have a hard time with that, allowing myself to dream. I'm allowed to say that I want a second home. I'm allowed to say I want to go on crazy vacations and pay for my kids' college. That doesn't make me a bad person, and it doesn't make me ungrateful for what I have.
Very good.
I'm a patient mother. I had to put that one in there.
Oh, you want me to go back to the...
No, it's good. It's good.
That's a good one.
I got to say that one a lot. I'm a patient. Okay.
I am a patient mother. I am a patient mother. I got it. Okay.
I mean, this one speaks for itself. We
so
can
great.
do it. I can do it. We can do it.
Now let's just cut that T off. Yeah. Okay.
I want to remember earlier in tonight's call, I asked you to write down your goals. Just quickly jot them down. Sometimes when I write down these goals, about 3 seconds later, I think, what am I doing? I'm not going to be a senior coordinator by July. What am I? No, I mean, no. I've said I'm going to be on that trip before and I didn't get on the trip. Why do I think I'm going to get on this next one? Who do I think I am? All of a sudden I write down goals. They kind of energize me. I'm getting excited. And then within minutes, I mean, why do I let my joy seep out of me that quickly? And I know I'm not the only one. I know that there's others that do the same thing. We do it in every area of our life. We play out the worst possible situation. For what reason? Guys, if I don't make senior coordinator, whether or not I play it out in my head or I don't, I'm still going to be disappointed that I didn't make it. So why am I going to tell myself right now that I didn't make it? That's not sane. So some of these things that we write down our goals and then we start talking to ourselves like, I can't find leaders. I don't know anybody. So sometimes you can take those negative self-talks. Well, that's what happens with the RAS. We put those in our head and then that becomes our reality, right? but you can take these and switch them and turn those into your affirmations.
Beautiful. Great. Okay, Francine.
Yes, I have an example too. I want to piggyback on what Angie was just sharing about the RAS. So when the dream trip, the cruise that we all took last year was first announced, I decided we were going on that cruise. I was going to earn that for my husband and myself, and we were going to go. And about 10 minutes after I made that decision, I looked at the calendar and I figured out that that cruise was over the same weekend as our youngest daughter was graduating from college. So then I thought, oh, I can't go. We can't be gone during college graduation. And then I had a little talk with myself again, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to allow myself to dream. I'm going to allow myself to dream, and we're going to work for that cruise. And worst case scenario, our business will still be much better off than it is now. But I really feel like we're supposed to be on that cruise. And so I worked really hard for that cruise. Our team worked really hard for that cruise. We earned the cruise. And in the first time ever in the history of my daughter's college, they moved the graduation back to the next week. So we were on the cruise and the graduation was the following week. Isn't that awesome? So sometimes the universe cooperates with you too. Yeah. So, okay, results are driven by our behaviors. You guys are probably all familiar with ready, set, go. And I want to challenge you that those words are in the incorrect order.
Yeah.
To be in charge of our behaviors, it really should be set, go, ready. You know, a lot of times we wait around for us to be ready or for the fear to go away, and those things just don't happen. I don't know anybody in this business who does this business totally without any fear, right? And we just need to kind of get used to the fact that fear is going to be there and accept it that it's going to be there because we're working towards something that's important to us. If we're just lollygagging along and didn't care about what we were doing, we wouldn't have a deep emotion to it. So this is, again, why we need to do this personal development and shift our mindset, because that will actually help us to be more comfortable and grounded in what we are doing. And once we have that belief, that's going to allow us to change our behaviors. And then you do get more comfortable. And that's when your self-image starts to change too, because you see yourself as being very competent. You see yourself as being a service provider to other people. And that's when the beauty happens, because then you allow yourself the freedom to reach out to more people. Sometimes we just get in our own way. We just need to get out of the way. You know, one of the things I said in my beginning slide was I realized that instead of trying to be successful for a very long time, I was just trying not to fail. I was just trying not to embarrass myself. And that's a really big difference, you know, because I was just giving myself enough rope to really hang myself. I wasn't allowing myself to just use all the talents and skills that I was born with. So this is a great little graphic that the company came up with, and this would be a good one to copy and paste and put in your closet. I have a bunch of affirmations hanging in my closet. When I'm getting dressed every morning, I read them. And this is the what ifs. Instead of saying, what if I do this, this, and this? What if you gave yourself freedom to excel, to win, to grow? Because we all have the power to do those things. We just have to believe that we can. This is a beautiful book, and I hadn't heard about this author, Sarah Bon Brethnick, until Barb shared this. But there's some quotes here that just kind of take us back to the fact that we all have a power within us, that our fears and our mindset and our self-image sometimes get in the way. Within each of us are buried lives striving to come out. I love this one. I wish I had known from the beginning that I was born a strong woman. What a difference it would have made. I wish that I would have known I was a courageous woman. I've spent so much of my life cowering. How many conversations would I not only have started, but finished if I had known I possessed a warrior's heart? And this is my favorite. I wish I had known that I had been born to take on the world. I wouldn't have run from it for so long, but run to it with open arms. You know, these are the types of things we tell our kids, right? Maybe in different language, but we give them permission to do these things. So let's start taking just as good care of ourselves as we do our children.
Mm-hmm. So the greatest legacy we can leave is a downline of people who are happier, healthier, and more successful because of our efforts. Barb, you said this came from Gary Burke, and I just think this is so beautiful. But I also just want to, I want people to know, I think that we're all doing this at any level that we are in the business, including people who are listening to this that just started their business, because you've already made it changes in your own life and in the lives of your family. Or even if it's you're the only one using the Shackley products, the people that you reach and touch because you're a happier and healthier person are being changed. So even if you're not a master coordinator yet, you are changing lives of people, and we're all doing that in little and important ways every day.
Beautiful. Nice. Jeannie.
Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Francine and Angie. Such an insightful evening, really insightful. And this is from Gary Burke, too. And I'm not going to rephrase this in any way, but he basically said in the past, I hope you have a goal that's so exciting to you that you are willing to step up and develop the skills you will need to experience your personal development. Invest in yourself. I guarantee you that as time goes by, that day will come when you will have become more of what you are truly capable of becoming. Your investments will have paid off for you, and believe me when I say you will become capable of doing whatever it is you choose to do. Go for it. Keep at it. Don't allow anyone to steal that dream.
Nice, Jeannie.
Nothing else to say.
That's beautiful. So, okay, let's put this into action now. All right. We talked about how action and behavior, that's going to help your self-confidence. So write down those goals. We talked about why that's specific. Write down those goals. Angie challenged you to get started on. Be very specific. I love putting a date on those things, your rank. You could put what dress you're going to wear when you're walking across stage, when you're recognized for your rank advancement. I mean, make it very, very clear. I know somebody who, whenever the new dream trips are announced, she buys a puzzle from that region. And so that puzzle is on her table the whole year. And attach action steps to those goals. This is where it's really important for you to work with your upline or another team member, because sometimes, especially if you're new in the business or if you're stuck, you just don't know what to do. And somebody else can help give you some ideas and a fresh start. But do things that you feel really good about too. If there's an idea that you want to explore and if that gets you excited, I say go for it. All right. We also are asking you to create a written plan for developing 30 customers. That's 30 new customers, okay, as well as 3 business partners. Anytime we talk to somebody, we're sharing the business and the products. I was a person who was more interested in the business before I knew anything about the products. So again, don't assume that just because you're new that somebody you don't know enough to share the business. That's not true at all. There's people out there looking for exactly what we have. Also, for 3 days, you guys monitor your self-talk. Pay attention to what you're saying to yourself. And when you start catching yourself saying things that are negative and not helpful, change those into positive affirmations. So it could be the like if you drop something a lot, you might catch yourself saying, I'm so clumsy. Instead of that, it's like, oh, that's not like me. I have very, great reflexes. When you're making a call, maybe you're scared to call somebody on the phone and you initially think, oh, they're going to be too busy to talk to me. Flip that around. I need to make this call right now because they're so excited about what I'm going to share with them. They've been waiting all day to hear from me. We can do this.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm. And this is a year of leadership development. No matter what stage you are in the business, we're being rewarded right now for finding people who are looking for a business to build, and we know this is a great one, and they want to know how to build it, and we can all help them do that. I love how we always work together as a team. We have these trainings, and they'll be archived forever, so no matter when somebody joins the business, they can get caught up. And if you're not familiar with the Daily High Five, it's up there in that green box, but this is just an idea of how to stay in action every day. So doing one social media post, making 5 new connections, and it doesn't necessarily need to be a Shackley connection. Maybe you go to the post office every day and you're always, talking to the same clerk. Introduce yourself, get to know them. Take them a cupcake or a fiber bar or a snack bar or something, but make 5 invitations. There's always events going on. 5 follow-ups. We spend so much time building relationships with people and helping them get acquainted with Shackley, becoming members. And then sometimes we forget about them. We think they don't want to hear from us again. One more short story, but we're getting ready to move. We happen to be moving back to the same town where we lived before we moved here, so 5 years ago. And the insurance agent who I had when we lived at that town once before contacted me several weeks ago and said, I hear you're moving back. Welcome home. If there's anything I can help you with, please let me know. And I said, yes, we definitely want to have insurance through you. And then I got busy and I didn't contact him. And he sent me an email today and said, hey, I just wanted to let you know that I'm still here for you. Is this a good time to get started? I was so appreciative that he had reached out to me because I forgot about it. And I was thinking about how I am also a business provider, and I care about the business that I provide to my customers. So why don't we feel more comfortable following up with people? So if you're uncomfortable following up, you think somebody's going to think you're bothering them, make an affirmation out of that about how thankful they're going to be that you are following up to make sure they know how to use their product and they're feeling better and answering their questions. People appreciate that. They appreciate knowing that you're thinking of them.
Absolutely. Very good.
Mm-hmm. And then Chris Spell's put together this beautiful website. So each week we tell you about some of the other trainings and different resources that are there for you. There's one, Paycheck versus Profit Mentality, as well as another, Self-Defeating Behaviors. Both of those are in the personal development section, and they really talk more about thinking and beliefs and how that affects your business. Highly recommend both of those when you have time to listen.
And this is the one you were telling me about, Francine, the Self-Defeating Behaviors one that you and Lisa Anderson were on. And I think Lisa might have been joining us tonight. She has a really beautiful story that she shares in there. That was the one you were remembering. Angie was the one who remembered where it was. So thank you, Angie and Francine, for walking us through this really important topic about understanding the power of our minds and the power of goal setting and the power of positive self-talk. It's really a really significant part of where we are in growing our businesses right now. So we're going to pause here, wrap this one up, but we want to also, we always allow a few minutes to what we call a post call. And tonight, there's a couple things Jeannie and I wanted to share with you. So I will start with this. This is one of my favorite slides. It says that everything is not going to go perfectly. You understand that, right? So be okay with that. We'll learn faster. And the sign says, if plan A didn't work, remember, the alphabet has 25 more letters. Stay cool. I love that one. Okay, Jeannie, shall we walk through how this $20,000 reward chunk of money, how doable this would be and how we can lay this out for people? This is our plan for this year. We get
Right. Well, when Angie showed the picture of drawing out your organization, I don't know how many of you saw the stars and the hearts and the little tags. That kind of represents who are your distributors, and obviously her directors were her hearts. Not all of us are visual, but I think it's really important this year, just like we talk about goals. When you see those goals in front of you every day, and everyone has a story, but I remember writing the word master on a little yellow piece of paper on our goal board in our office. And I can't tell you how yellow it got and how many times I had to scratch out the date. I'm going to do it this month or that month. But, and all the naysayers who came in and said, well, weren't you going to be a master last year? Aren't you going to be a master this year? But the important part is I had that goal. And I think this year, because Shackley's offering such a wonderful package, it's really important, like you said, Angie, to really write senior coordinator. It doesn't matter if you reach it or not, but if you see that enough, something's going to happen in that brain of yours that's going to make that happen. The creative juices are going to work towards that goal. So Shackley has really provided us with income upon our bonuses and our commissions. So just for helping one other person become a director, and even if you're new on this call tonight, you can do this. If you help one other person become a director, Shackley will pay you $1,000. A coordinator helping two people, they'll give you $3,000. And I'm sure when Francine was speaking about all these trips, the cruises, and you're probably saying, how can you do that? Well, when you get to coordinator for the first time, you also earn that trip. And senior coordinator, now that's what Angie, you see, what I love, Barbara, is here was Angie talking about a goal, but there's the amount of dollars that she's going to get if she gets it, which I'll tell you is not a bad reward, $6,000.
No.
I don't know what you're going to do with that, Angie, but $6,000 is significant. So you drew that little illustration down there. You want to share that with everyone, Barb?
Yeah, that's it. So there's you beginning, then you develop leader number 1, then you develop leader number 2. And so the question then is, now this is March. How did that happen? So now it's March. So when do you want to identify these 2 business partners?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is really priority.
Mm-hmm.
So all those things we were just talking about tonight, about writing down, when Angie asked us to write down our goals, write down, I want to meet my next 2 wonderful business partners. That's who they are. They're your business partners. And I may be very new in this business, but I can identify 2 people that I would really love to work with, and we can learn it together.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to know everything to be, and then have to teach somebody else. It's really a lovelier message, isn't it? To start this journey and to learn together, because you know what? We always are. We're always learning. Jeannie and I have been in the business 100 years, and we're still learning all the time, right?
Well, it hasn't been 100 years.
Well, that was a slight exaggeration, right? Okay.
All right.
Okay. Now, there's one other thing we want to share with you. Okay.
Yes, please.
So, Jeannie.
I'm really happy to share this with you. This is something that Barb and I experienced when we went to the Masters Advisory Board meeting in California. And I thought this would be a great thing to share with all of you, because even when Francine spoke about her self-image as a young person and, how we have to overcome that. But what's really great is the power that we have within ourselves to really overcome some of these challenges in our self-image that all of us experience. But what I really want to think about is, the company has its own self-image situations, right? Because we're a company that's over 60 years old. And I am so excited for Shackley, because what they're revisiting is, what is the vision for Shackley? And you'll learn a lot of that at convention. So make sure you sign up for the global convention. I'm going to give you another plug for that. You don't want to miss out, because if you love this kind of training tonight from Francine and Ange, it was all about thinking, right? But vision creates that goal. And Shackley has looked at, where do they want to be in 10 years? And I know when Barbara and I saw this, and when the other masters saw this, we actually got on our feet and we clapped, because I think we have been hungry to say, where are you going as a company? How do you see yourself as a company? Because we're the distributors. It doesn't matter what level we are, we're all distributors. And they drew out this work that they had done for 3 days, all of the executives. And they drew like a vision, a picture. And they said, what if the Shackley vision in 2023, we would be like a magnet that attracts business leaders like a magnet. I actually like that vision for us too. Mm-hmm. What if we grow like bamboo, where we're fast, we're growing vibrantly, and we're sustainable in the world? I love that. Not growing slowly, but growing strongly and quickly. And when they started to say that, I said, is that how we're looking at it? Is that how we're going to be? Yeah. And then they had another picture of a rock star. Mm-hmm. known as the rock star of wellness and nutrition. What if we were the company that everyone wanted to join? And, we can get behind that. And then I think the S2 is like X square, I think. But it's like including to make sure that we do, and everything we do is simple and streamlined, which, is hard for a 60-year-old company. But what if that's our vision? What if we simplify things? What if we really streamline that? And then, of course, I've always loved butterflies. So I love that the vision for the butterfly is that we innovate for transformative. Let me say that again. We innovate for transformational impact. That's powerful. And that's what your corporate executives are looking at. But what Barbara and I feel is we want to embrace that. We want to be a magnet. We want to grow like bamboo. We want to be a rock star. We want to be simple and streamlined, and we want to help transform and make an impact. And I think tonight's class, if you go back and listen to it, was all about how this could be possible for all of us. It takes a little work because that self-image and all of those old thoughts and old stories and old records come back. But what we learned tonight was that it's possible to still move forward and work towards that vision and goal.
Well done,
very powerful.
Jeanne. It was
powerful.
so powerful, and just such a great image for them and for us. So thanks everybody for joining us. It is, we're just excited about your future. And so we'll be back again next week. We'll be talking about closing and next steps in our presentations and our appointments. And so we wish you a really fantastic week. Thanks, everybody.